This comes to us from Grums on X, where he says, good, but they are just the front for this. Payment processors will sweep through games, Steam, Itch, and if they know about Itch, they know about the others. More coming, unfortunately. And this is in response to Pirate Nation posting, Collective Shout has gone private after the backlash. And I know you're all so shocked after everything that happened that, of course, Collective Shout would go into private mode. This comes to us from Kirsha, who said, I said it on stream and I pinned it to my recent video about payment processors. But if you care about this censorship and live in the US while exposing the feminist harpies and other useful idiots who push for censorship is good and necessary, please make sure to contact your state reps about the Fair Access to Banking Act. It includes payment processors in both the Senate and House bills. If your rep is already a co-sponsor, still write to them and tell them how much this matters and thank them for already signing on. And she links the Senate bill and the House bill. And this is in response to Josh, who I thought was making a very interesting point here that I wanted to highlight. They said, do not take the bait. The issue is not social activists or quote unquote feminists, referring to Collective Shout in Australia. The issue is the payment processors. The issue is the financial services. The issue is US federal law. If you're angry about Steam pulling games, you should be wanting to change the law. And this wall of text says, if you've sputtered the word feminist in reply to this, you're a fool taking the bait. They want you to be angry at a small social activist organization instead of trillion-a-year banking monoliths. You should not be angry that a nameless collective group of women for Australia are going after violent prawn. You should be angry that a nameless collective of bankers have the ability to prevent American consumers from buying from American stores, which on the surface, I see what they're saying here and where they're going with this. But I would actually push back a little bit and say that in a weird way, Collective Shout was almost like the pirate software to stop killing games, where without them waking up the gaming industry of gamers, like giant group of people, there wouldn't be nearly as much pushback. And I know this as a fact because this shit all came up last year. What was it, last September or December or July? I don't remember exactly when it was. It was 2024 when Visa was denying purchase of items from a store in Japan because they were like adult oriented. Was it manga? And I talked about it back then at that time. I was like, that's kind of concerning. This is a problem here. We should probably say something here. We should probably stop this. And no one did a damn thing. People just like, oh, this is crazy. Everyone talked about it and then just moved on from it like next story. And I remember when that all happened, I was just like, this is not a next story type of thing. This is going to be a problem moving forward type of thing. And now fast forward to now, and it's happening on Steam. And now most recently, itch.io, and who knows what's next. And the only difference that I'm seeing is there's now a group to point at to say, wait a second, these people are pushing for what Visa and MasterCard are doing, and they are enabling it, and they are sending letters to them. And it's raising eyebrows and making people wake up to what's actually happening. So in a weird way, this is something that I almost think we should be thanking Collective Shout for being just the most obnoxious group of feminists you could ever imagine to get everyone's attention and be like, we are cool with this. Let's dig more into this, what's actually transpiring, and then finding out it's actually Visa and MasterCard. So I don't think people are being deceived or taking the bait. I don't think that's what's happening here. Sure, there's a couple people, of course, there's always going to be that, but I think overall, it's a overall benefit for Collective Shout to be drawing more attention to the situation. And I did see that, Jay Viper. You did a good job on that. Jay Viper has been crushing it, by the way, on all this. He said, I created a template people could write Collective Shout's payment processors. You did do that. Absolutely crushing it, bro. You're doing a great job. It says payment processors are deputized by the federal government and required to enforce U.S. federal law. The United States Code has on the books laws against obscenity and lolicon. You can say that those things are unenforceable in court despite existing on the books, but private companies are not the court. Therefore, the financial services will enforce U.S. federal law as it is written, and because their risk assessment strategies are trade secrets. They are under no obligation to even tell you why they take these actions. They are obligated to do due diligence in preventing criminal actions. They are not obligated to provide and are indeed protected from civil action arising from denying you service. This started with the Patriot Act. God, going back to the Patriot Act. Didn't the Patriot Act take freedoms away from every single U.S. citizen? Every single thing from the TSA to censorship always seems to go back to the Patriot Act and allowing the government to do whatever the hell they want to do. It goes through all the penalties and everything in that, and then they say at the bottom here, and then there are various state laws requiring ID to buy prawn. Did you enter an ID to buy prawn on Steam? Then they might be running afoul of state criminal laws as well. Remember when Texas sued Netflix over cuties? Financial services should be required to do business with all U.S. entities, and they should even be insulated from the consequences of accidentally providing financial services for crimes unless there is gross negligence or deliberate facilitation, which I 100% agree on. Petitions and crying on the internet will not fix this. We need Congress to pass a bill, which, if you heard me previously talking about this, that's exactly what I said. You can write all the petitions you want. You can bitch and moan about how unfair this is until the cows come home. But at the end of the day, the only people that are going to be able to fix this is Congress and politicians and writing things into bills and laws to prevent Visa from continuing to do whatever the hell they want. Because right now, there's absolutely nothing stopping them. And finally, I wanted to touch on MadamSavvy, who kind of wraps this up with a nice bow, who has absolutely been crushing this entire situation. She said, this is my attempt to map Visa and Mastercard censorship. This is in regards to Collective Shout taking ownership of pushing them, but this timeline shows activity back to 2016 for Visa and Mastercard. This thread will break down segments and provide close-ups. Reminder, Collective Shout and NCOSE and other groups are currently labeling all anime and Grok's Annie as childlike in order to get it banned under illegal content. Collective Shout labeled me as a man because they claim to be pro-woman and they can't have a woman talking back, which is hysterical. Collective Shout does not allow dissent. It kind of reminds me of that whole situation with the Black Girl Gamers when people started pushing back against them and they showed their true colors, if you will. All views of Melinda most likely belong to all women. Collective Shout chases bakers, ads, clothing, Playboy, charities, Detroit Become Human, GTA 5, perfume, makeup by harassing businesses with emails. But they support Cuties in 2020, the film that actually exploited little girls and saw 650 auditions, which included sexual twerking, which I have so many questions about this. Who were the people watching these little girls twerking for the auditions? And were their hard drives checked? Savvy said 2016, 2017, both links talk about how payment processors are becoming not safe for work for adults, flesh and blood, nothing about art yet. Come 2018, that changes after FOSTA, SESTA passes. NCOS was a big push. The language scares payment processors into feeling responsible for illegal content. And then April 2021, MasterCard changes its rules on and cites Encos as one of its advisors. Encos is currently labeling all anime and Grok Annie as childlike to get it banned. ACLU, which, oh, by the way, don't get me even started on the ACLU, makes a complaint report, cites Foster Sesta as possible reason. August 2022, MasterCard acknowledges it will suspend service if they deem it illegal under their vague rules. Jump to 2024, we have the start of investigations, suspensions, and censorship requests. Please keep in mind, there are more than just these. My God, Savvy, you really went deep here. April 2025, Visa updates its rules, 920 pages, and yes, I skimmed it all. These are the most troubling parts because they say specifically, but not limited to. This dialogue leaves it open. So while they prohibit CSAM, bestiality, grape, they allow for vague rules and do not list everything, which when you say, but not limited to, that invalidates whatever you're about to say. That basically means like, here's some examples, but we could also do whatever the hell we want on top of this. They specifically state computer generated, which means all art, AI, etc. They also will label you high risk and monitor you extra close. And then some wrap up to today, which you can catch up on links from more Visa and MasterCard censorship requests and see what these groups are doing in the next post. Feel free to use this information to start your research and add to it. Make videos, make commentary, retweet, do whatever you want. This is their latest movement, and their attacks on Elon Musk won't stop. And holy God, she's still going, by the way. I believe I did cover this one in a previous video, so I'm not going to dive into that thread. But my God, like, look at this. Look at this, still going. This bill could be salvation, but it's unclear. It requires our politicians to do something. Foreign extremist entities look to circumvent local laws and censor content they do not like, affecting American businesses. If you're messaging your reps of a different nation, just replace America with your country. Be sure to provide screenshots from their website showing how ridiculous their behavior is. Add this to it as well. I've been working for over a year on a video to inform the Japanese public about this phenomenon. Back in 2016, Lewd Gamer published an article where adult gaming platform Nutaku reported that banks, payment processors, and credit card companies were forcing censorship. So it's not new at all. If anything, the only thing that's new is, well, the new stuff that the censorship is coming into. But really, collective shout is the big new thing that is drawing attention to an otherwise long-running censorship facade that Visa and MasterCard have been pushing forward. So again, I keep going back to, I don't think people are falling for the taking the bait or anything like that. I look at collective shout as people should be thanking them for assisting and highlighting what's happening right now. Because even if they are not the problem, they are drawing so much attention to the situation that people are very curious to be like, wait, what are they doing? And then doing this research, finding out what's actually going on behind the scenes is extremely important. But I will leave that one there.